Breaking news, we've been reporting on it, but now it is official. Mark Pope is the new men's basketball coach at Kentucky. Pope spent the last 5 years at BYU, where he led the Cougars to the NCAA tournament twice in the past 4 seasons. Prior to coaching, Pope spent time playing at Kentucky, played ball there as well as Washington, won a national title in Lexington in 1996 under Rick Pitino as the head coach then. And you see Kentucky athletics putting out this tweet letting you know that it is official. Welcome home, Coach Mark Pope, touting that he was the captain of that 96 national championship team, coming back to be the 23rd head coach of men's basketball there at Kentucky. And it is a Kentucky program that has not had the fair share of luck over the past 4 years. Part of the reason why John Calipari is no longer the head coach. First round exit in 2022 and 2024 to a 15 and a 14 seed. Lost in the second round to Kansas State in 23 and did not make the tournament at all in 2021. We now welcome in 24/7 Sports Director of Scouting, Adam Finkelstein. And Adam, we knew this news likely was coming. Now it is official. If you're a Wildcats fan, though, seeing Kentucky put out that tweet touting how Pope is one of their own, are you excited for this, or are you disappointed because you missed out on so many other names?
Yeah, listen, here's the reality. This is not the big name that Kentucky was hoping for, that was floated around in the first 24 to 48 hours after it became clear that John Calipari was leaving for Arkansas. But if you are a Kentucky fan, you need to have an open mind. I wrote this morning that the fracture between John Calipari and Mitch Barnhart, or for that matter, John Calipari and BBN as a whole, it was not because he lost any of his personal cachet or his influence on the recruiting trail. It's because, quite frankly, they didn't get it done in the month of March. So is Mark Pope the same caliber of brand as John Calipari? No, he's not. Is he going to be able to recruit at exactly the same level and produce the same amount of one-and-dones? Probably not. But ultimately, that's not his job. His job is to return this program to national relevance, and that only happens in this sport when you win in the month of March.
Pope, of course, has the ties to Kentucky, played there, knows what the culture is like in BBN. But here today, 2024, how much does that actually matter that your head coach played where he's coaching for today's recruits and for today's fans?
Yeah, I don't know that that's a big point. You know, I think that right now that's something that they're emphasizing, because the reality is, you know, you hear terms about winning the press conference. Arkansas certainly won the press conference when they brought John Calipari in the other day. Kentucky's not going to win this press conference. So they're creating a narrative. And I think the narrative has to be give him a chance, because everyone who knows Mark Pope speaks about him incredibly highly. His offense speaks for itself. This is a very sophisticated offensive mind. And I think that's part of what Kentucky fans are really going to like about this, is they are not going to run an antiquated offensive system anymore. There's going to be a lot of pace. There's going to be a lot of three-point shooting. It's going to be a modern system. And again, that's what I think is most important, but that's not really something you can sell at the press conference. So they're going to talk about returning to his local roots, but I think ultimately the message to Kentucky fans needs to be, give this guy a chance. He cares more so than maybe anyone, and he's got the chops to make this happen, but it's going to be in a very different way than John Calipari did.
Yeah, the offense is certainly something to get fans into the seats, but one thing that gets them to stay is good players. How can Pope find a way to maybe keep the class together that's 10th right now, according to 24/7 Sports, and get that top-level blue chip prospects in there?
So this class was second overall a week ago before John Calipari left. We've seen 3 of the 6 decommit, and very presumably, as I've said on this network over the course of the week, strongly consider following John Calipari to Arkansas. If you are Mark Pope and you look at the remaining 3 prospects, Boogie Flam, Travis Perry, and Billy Richmond is going to be tied to John Calipari in all likelihood. This is a difficult task. If I'm Mark Pope, I'm worried less about the players that John Calipari recruited and more about finding players that fit my system. And again, his system is about offensive spacing. It's about offensive skill and three-point shooting, and players who play with a high basketball IQ who can pass the ball. So what I would expect him to do is hit the portal really hard and try and find the prospects who fit that mold and can help step in right away to that sophisticated offensive type of system that he's going to want to implement in year 1.
Yeah, and winning in year one probably will be very important as well. Kentucky does not like to lose, and that's why there's no more Calipari around. Thank you so much, Adam Finkelstein, for joining us now that Mark Pope is officially the head coach of Kentucky men's basketball. And you can get even more basketball news on the on the Eye on College Basketball podcast with Gary Parrish and Matt Norlander. Make sure you lock in, subscribe, scan that QR code, get your podcast wherever you get them.